Good afternoon. Well, good noon. It's noon. 12 o'clock time for another session of Notes from the Route. This is Jared Forte with jaredforte.com, at this Jared on Twitter. Glad you're taking the time to check out my broadcast today. Um, the topic of today's talk is place and space. Place and space. So I think that one of the reasons this topic kind of came to mind was I think that now when even the fact that we're doing this over the internet right now is indicative of the fact that we spend a lot of time in virtual spaces, in virtual places, connecting with people using technology, and it's a wonderful thing. I'm grateful for it, and there are things that I've experienced and people I've had a chance to come into contact with that I otherwise would not have had the ability to connect with. But I think that is important, even when we're surrounded with all this technology, and perhaps because we're surrounded with all this technology, that we take some time and really appreciate the significance of the physical space that we occupy, and the places that we spend our time and with whom we spend our time. So I want to talk about place and space specifically as it relates to creativity. Um, so I want to start with private spaces. And the most important private space is the space inside your own head, the inner space, as you will. If you are constantly being pulled in a million different directions and you can't seem to find any peace or any clarity in your mind, then it can create a huge hindrance to your ability to produce the results that you're trying to produce in your life, or to create the art or the service that you want to render to others. So the inner space, that space that in your own mind, so that you have some peace and some clarity and some quiet, is the most important and the first private space that we want to talk about. So how do you create that space? Well, there are a lot of ways that people do it. Meditation, prayer, some people escape through physical activity, all the things that bring you into the moment and connect you with your body and connect you with this moment, disconnects you from the anxiety about the future, the things that you might be worrying about, disconnects you from the regrets and things about the past that you have emotions tied to, and brings you into the present moment. When you're present, there's infinite space in that present moment. The present is huge, and whenever you can bring yourself into the present, then you have infinite space to create and bring things forward out of that clear canvas. So the private space, the first private space and the most important one, is that inner space. Now, when you take one step outward from that private space, you have the physical environment that's around you. Now, how does your physical environment affect your creativity and your motivation? It's huge. A lot of people, creative people, think that they need some chaos to kind of pull ideas together. They want the creative environment is messy and sloppy, and you get all of this inspiration from the chaos that's around you. What I found is that when I really need to produce, I need to have some sort of order. And when I reflect on the times and the places when I've produced the most significant work that I've done, when I've produced the work that I've been the most proud of, it's been from a place of order. It's been from a place that was sort of a sanctuary for creating. It was a place that was set aside for the work that I was bringing about. And I know that depending on what your situation is, there might not be a space that you can go to every day. There might not be, you might not have that sanctuary in your house. You might not have your own office that you can retreat to. You may be surrounded by noise and all the other things. You don't have that privacy. to create that type of environment for yourself. But that's a big motivation to get yourself in a place where you can do that, because once you are in a position where you can craft an environment that's conducive to your own motivation, when you can craft a situation that energizes you and inspires you to work and to create, then you get an exponential return on that investment in your environment. And I mean, I underestimate that constantly. I underestimate how powerful that is, and I get lazy about maintaining or creating these spaces. But then, you know, all I have to do is reflect on the places where I've been most productive, when I've been most creative, when I've had the best ideas, when I brought the most significant work out. They have a common denominator. There has been a margin of clarity, order. The environment was conducive to that. It wasn't cluttered and crazy. It was a clear space to work from. So if you don't have that in your workflow, if you don't have an environment that's conducive to productivity, then you want to think about ways that you can improve that, ways that you can create that for yourself. So those are the private spaces. Now, when you radiate out, if you start in the center and you have your inner space, and then there's another ring outside of that, it's the private space, the environment that you work or created in. Then when you take it a step further, you have the public spaces that are around you. So let's talk about the significance of public places and public spaces to your creativity. The most important factor is the fact that in a public space or in a public place, you have the opportunity to connect with another human being, person to person. And we need that. We crave that. I think that it's underappreciated how important that person to person connection is. As many people as I've had conversations with online or in other passing situations, there's nothing quite like sitting next to a person, having a conversation with them. And if it's a creative situation, there's nothing like being in the room in a conversation about work that you're trying to produce. It can't really be replaced no matter how clear the technology is, because there's something about the energy of two people collaborating together that's powerful. You can't always have that, but where you can find it, it's worthwhile to seek it out. And it doesn't even have to be connection specific to a project or about work that you're doing. It's just being in the presence of other people gives you a certain amount of energy. If you are working with around positive people, you're all motivated and driven towards some common end, then it gives you energy, it gives you motivation, and it feeds you. We feed off of our connection with each other. We're social people. Another significant thing about place is when you have a group of people, when you have a congregation of talent that centers around a place, then something bigger starts to happen. You have an ecosystem that starts to develop where the talents of the people who are in the community start to combine, ideas start to flow, and then something like a community develops with these people with like minds. Even if they're like-minded in terms of their desire to create and produce, even if it's in different areas. And these creative communities manifest in a variety of different ways. There's a creative community in Los Angeles around the movie industry and all the things that go about supporting it. There's a creative community in Silicon Valley around the technology space. There's creative communities all around the world of different sizes, but these places have been become known as the place to go for this thing, a destination that attracts all the talented people And where the talent goes, the money goes, the resources go. So it's important that if there is a destination for your art, if there is a place that it is better if you have a connection to it in terms of being able to find other people to collaborate with, then you want to think about ways that you can make a journey to this place. If you can live around that type of environment, you'll find that you will progress much quicker. I know there's a lot of you have the freedom to be anywhere because technology can connect you to anyone. That's true. But there is something special about being where the action is. And in some cases, if you're stuck, if you're not making the progress with your art, if your business is not going the way it needs to go, then it might be that you need to be plugged in. That you got a question coming. I got you 1 second there from Spain. You might need to plug into where the action is. Okay, so this broadcast is the same broadcast that goes on YouTube. It broadcasts from at 12 every day, Monday through Thursday, 12 o'clock Eastern time. So I'm glad that you're here checking this out. Okay, so we just talked about the ecosystem of talent that congregates in certain places, and why, if you are in a certain business, it's worthwhile to make a trip to the place that's the home of that and feed off of that energy. Now, in the old model, talent followed resources. In the industrial model, whoever owned the factory, they were the magnet for the talent. So in Detroit, where the automotive industry was in the United States, flocks of people migrated from the South to the city of Detroit because that's where you could go to work. And that's the old model, talent following resources. Now, in the new economy, resources follow talent. The money goes where the talent is, because the resource is the knowledge and skills that the people have, not the factories that make things. The people make things. So it's important, that's why it's critical, if you have an industry that you're connected to, that you are able to plug into the resources. Even though you can technically connect from anywhere in the world, you can make your art anywhere in the world, but there's something really special about being at the home of your craft. Okay, and to wrap up this part of the conversation about place, I think, and connection and community, I think that the most important thing to do if you're going to connect with people is that you do it with the intent of serving and to be present. Nobody wants someone who is just there to take. Nobody wants someone who is coming with an agenda to try to take advantage of other people. It doesn't serve you in the long run to be that type of person. You want to be able to participate in the community, contribute to the community, and add value. You reach out with others with the intention of serving them, and you'll find that the community will take care of you. So that's the way that it works, and that's why I think that I know that in my own personal experience, my most fruitful collaborations, my deepest memories, and the most meaningful experiences that I've had in my life have been in the physical presence of other people who shared a moment with me, a creative moment with me, a personal moment with me. And we have the benefit of being able to meet and connect with people all over the world, but we have a deep-seated need to connect with people right around us in our community. And I encourage you, everyone who's watching this, to find a way to incorporate that community in the work that you do and the art that you create. So that is today's note from the route, session 5, the importance of space and place and creativity. This show is live every Monday through Thursday right here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. You can also check it out on my website, jaredforte.com. You can see all the back episodes there. I welcome your comments and your feedback. I really appreciate you taking the time to check me out today. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at thisjared. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon or evening wherever you are in the world. Thanks a lot.